Another day, another story. New AWS Solutions Architect, Associate, SAA-C03, announced. As if my team and I weren't already busy enough with creating new learning paths for the previously announced AWS Certified SAP on AWS-Specialty, and the upcoming refresh of the AWS Certified Advanced Networking Specialty Certification, AWS have just announced an update to what can be considered their most popular certification, the AWS Certified Solutions Architect, Associate Certification. So, I imagine many of you have a number of questions which may include, can I still take the current SAA-C02 exam as I'm currently studying for it? I recently passed my SAA-C02, will it still be effective or will I have to take the new exam? When does the new exam come into effect? What are the changes? Will there be any exam lab questions like there is in the AWS SysOps Administrator certification? Where can I learn the new materials for this exam? Where can I find more information on this exam? Can I still take the current SAA-C02 exam as I'm currently studying for it? The quick answer is yes, certainly. In fact, I recommend that if you have already started studying for the AWS SAA-C02 exam, then you continue to do so. You have plenty of time to finish your studies, as the last date to take the SAA-C02 exam is August 29, 2022. If you haven't yet started studying and want to take this exam, then with enough effort and dedication, and depending on your experience, you will still have time to prepare and pass it before the end of August. I recently passed my SAA-C02, will it still be effective or will I have to take the new exam? You do not have to resit the updated certification to keep your credentials. Even if you took the AWS SAA-C02 exam on the last date available, 29th of August 2022, then your exam will still last for 3 years from that date. There is no need to resit the newly updated certification. When does the new exam come into effect? The new exam, which will be labeled as AWS SAA-C03, will be available to take from the 30th of August 2022. However, the registration to be able to book your exam opens on July 26, 2022. So if you want to be one of the first, then you can book it from this date. What are the changes? After reviewing the difference between the exam guides for the SAA-C02 and the SAA-C03, there are some changes. However, there is a lot of overlap from the SAA-C02. However, it does reference some of the latest services and features within existing services. From a domain perspective, there are still 4 different assessment domains to focus on with minor changes. SAA-C03 Domain 1, Design Secure Architectures. This has a heavy focus on designing secure access to AWS resources, so as you'd expect a deep understanding of AWS Identity and Access Management, IAM, is required. You should also have knowledge of AWS Single Sign-On, AWS Security Token Service, AWS Control Tower and Service Control Policies. SAA-C03 Domain 2, Design Resilient Architectures. This domain centers its focus on 2 main areas. How to design scalable and loosely coupled architectures. How to design highly available and/or fault-tolerant architectures. The scope of this domain is wide and varied. SAA-C03 Domain 3, Design High-Performing Architectures. This domain introduces a new section compared to that of the SAA-C02, which looks at how to determine high-performing data ingestion and transformation solutions. As a result, emphasis will be centered around services such as Amazon Athena, AWS Lake Formation, Amazon QuickSight, AWS Data Sync, AWS Storage Gateway, AWS Glue, Amazon EMR, and Amazon Kinesis. SAA-C03 Domain 4, Design Cost-Optimized Architectures. The final domain also focuses on the same 4 resource types I just mentioned: storage, compute, database, and networking, and how to optimize costs at different levels based on a variety of different requirements. It's also essential that you are familiar with a variety of AWS cost management tools which you need to be familiar with, which include Cost Explorer, AWS Budgets, and AWS Cost and Usage Reports. will there be any exam lab questions like there is in the AWS SysOps Administrator certification? For those unaware, exam lab questions are scenario-based, and are composed of a set of tasks to perform in the AWS Management Console or AWS CLI. I was expecting to see the inclusion of exam lab questions in this certification, however the only exam question types listed in the exam guide are multiple choice, which has 1 correct answer and 3 incorrect responses. Multiple response, which has 2 or more correct responses out of 5 or more response options. So with that in mind, there are no exam lab questions at this stage. Where can I learn the new materials for this exam? We will be building a completely new and comprehensive learning path to support all the assessment points highlighted in the exam guide to ensure that you have all the knowledge required to sit and pass the exam with confidence. We will have our learning path complete with on-demand courses, hands-on labs, lab challenges, and a preparation exam, before the updated certification is generally available. Where can I find more information on this exam? To find the latest information relating to this exam, you can visit the AWS certification coming soon URL https://aws.amazon.com/certification/coming soon/. From here you can get the latest SAA-C03 exam guide and take a look at some sample questions.